Dear Ms. Masha Pro, it's a great honor joining us on Artist TV Germany. You're based in New York, as I heard, with your non-profit organization, the Blue Card Fund, and you are the executive director, right?
Correct. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much, Ida. Your main objective is you want to provide the Holocaust survivors with financial assistance and also with medical and dental care, and furthermore with mental health support and so on. So in every cases of emergencies, you stand by with them, which is really, I would say, to evaluate as so valuable for this intention you're doing. Could you give us a detail about the history, how it all started, and your commitment in your beginning, how you've been involved in that organization?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. And thank you for that warm introduction and overview, which was absolutely perfect. The Blue Card has a very history. We started in Germany, in the Nuremberg Firth area in 1934, when Hitler came to power and families of Jewish citizens were losing their livelihoods. It was an underground effort to raise funds for them among their friends and colleagues in order to be able for them to sustain their existence. Yeah. And the organizers of the Blue Card, then known Blaue Karte, would go around soliciting donations. And when a donor made a donation, they received a stamp that to this day, that is the Blue Card's logo. So it was a way of record keeping, and that is how the Blue Card got its name, from the records that were given to donors that were helping to sustain these individuals.
Derived from that, yeah.
Yes, and when the founders emigrated to the United States, they set up in New York, in the Washington Heights area of New York City, and at that point were welcoming and starting serving Holocaust survivors and Nazi victims as they were either fleeing after Kristallnacht or after liberation. Yeah. And when these individuals came to America, they really looked toward the Blue Card to connect them with menial jobs, to help them find an affordable place to live, to help them with even $10 at the time was a tremendous difference. And so this is how the Blue Card worked, and it really had a very pure mission of just providing assistance to Holocaust survivors. And we're a national organization. We're now in more than 35 states, helping close to 3,000 households of survivors. In some cases, it's 2 survivors. In other cases, it's 1 survivor. And we really stayed true to this mission, and we're the only one in the country that is solely focused on survivor aid. And we will continue doing so as long as there are needs, and the needs are so great. So that's a little bit about the history. But one notable donor who was helped by the Blue Card is Dr. Ruth Westheimer, who was originally and she still to this day remembers the assistance we provided and gives back her time and gives back in any way that she can.
Ms. Masha, would you like to introduce, when you telling about names, introduce your member board, just to get an idea who is all involved, and the member board.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our board is interesting because while the headquarters of New York is in the headquarters in New York, and that is where the largest number of survivors are, we do, since we are national, we have board members in Florida. We have Benjamin Jaffe in Florida. We have a lovely board member, Peggy Heine, in Arizona. And Peggy Heine, actually, her father, Max, was from Germany and left right after Kristallnacht, and really was a true success story in America when he came here. And his daughter now carries on the work that he's done. And we have, tremendous other supporters, such as Sherry Wilzig in New Jersey, whose father, Siggy Wilzig, was very close with Elie Wiesel. and started a unionized bank in New Jersey. And so these stories really carry throughout, and they remember the help that they received and now give back and for life, and becomes a generational thing. So our board member, Mark Bilski, who's a former president, his father, Bert Bilski in Germany, was involved. And now his daughter is involved. So it's passing the baton, so to speak. We have a board member in Boston as well. We have a board member in San Diego, California, who actually helps who represents the South African community, South African Jewish community there.
Sounds
and
so
all these
familiar.
people,
Yeah. Sounds so familiar,
and
like a big family, like a big family.
A big extended family, yeah. And one of the ways that we actually do get a great number of board members is through our marathon program, where runners join the New York City Marathon by raising money for our charity. We've had
sorry if I interrupt you. We should do this on a later point, because we started with statistics, and I would like to know first about the profile of the survivors and the grants since the inception of your Blue Card, how the amount of the grants, so that we get more an idea, a view of the survivors, and go later on to your programs and to all your activities. Is that okay?
Yes,
for you?
oh, sure, definitely, no problem. So since inception, the Blue Card has distributed over $40 million to survivors, which
Amazing.
is no small number.
Amazing.
And the survivors that we're serving, their ages start from 75 years old, because to be considered a Holocaust survivor and to have received reparations, you either had to have been born or conceived prior to January 1945. Yeah. And there are even some examples of fetus cases of someone who was conceived just prior to liberation, but born after, but still received the help and received a compensation for their suffering. Yeah. So our oldest, we call them clients. Another word is beneficiary. Our oldest is 106 years old, and people are living longer. Life expectancy is longer, and thanks to all these resources, survivors want to age in their homes as much as possible. Of course, yeah. So of course, there are more women that we're serving than men, as women tend to live longer, slightly longer, and that is a shown statistic. We also have a statistic that shows that Holocaust survivors have higher rates and incidences of cancer versus the general elderly population of the same age. And that is related to malnutrition they experience, the stresses they experienced during the war. Yeah. So that is something that we're working towards. We have a stipend program for Holocaust survivors. Yeah. So a little bit about how our grants work. Our help is categorized in 3 pockets. Mm-hmm. There is emergency aid, emergency cash assistance, and that is, yes, and the average emergency cash assistance grant is $2,500 per year. Mm-hmm. And that can be towards dental care, such as dentures, hearing aids, medical supplies and medicine, food, clothing, and even burial. The second category is monthly assistance to prevent emergencies. Okay. And that can be towards transportation, utilities, housing to prevent eviction, and any type of minor expenses that the person might incur. And the range, based on the need, everything is very holistic, so it really depends on the person's situation, where they live, the cost of living, the family structure, other local aid that they might be receiving.
Are you able to analyze it before? I mean, to get really in the point, if you say the holistic way is your attempt, but then you have to analyze all the conditions and the circumstances.
We absolutely do, and we have a thorough due diligence process because funding is limited, and we want to make sure that we're helping as many people as possible. We do ask for financial information and things like bank statements and bills. We do ask, and we work through a local network of local social service agencies in communities in conjunction with us. So they're doing home visits and really keeping their eyes and ears open to changing needs of those survivors and keeping in close contact with us. So the range is between $100 and $300 a month once someone is eligible. And we're helping survivors who are living at or below $23,000 a year in income. That's all they have. And that's from their Social Security, and that also, could include pensions. And the survivors we're serving, and we're substituting their reparations that they're receiving from Germany.
Great. You have achieved so much recognition. You've been awarded so many times, and you've been certified from many institutions. Would you like to mention some notable persons, some celebrities? I even saw a video with Joe Biden, the former vice president and current candidate for the Democrats. So this was really impressing me. Would you like to enumerate some of the notable persons? Yeah, this problem.
Yeah. So I think with Joe Biden, he has an initiative that helped Holocaust survivors receive dental care in America. So that was really, how we became connected. We've had a great number of actors, such as Michael Douglas, who was absolutely lovely. He spoke at one of our events.
Actors.
Yeah. He was just such a consummate professional. We worked with Cynthia Nixon, who was on Sex and the City. She plays Miranda at the classic Sex and the City.
For the women.
The women, and then many others. We had great performing artists such as Regina Spektor. She was lovely, and Andy Cohen from Bravo, who hosts Watch What Happens.
Recent hoster, I've heard. The recent hoster.
He was a recent host, and he of course hosted it for no charge, and he even contributed afterwards and promoted us on his Sirius XM radio.
For the sustainability and a great collaboration, I would say.
Definitely. And people really, this cause really resonates with them. And I think one of the reasons is that many of them have roots that go back, and it really connects them to the past. And there's a limited window of opportunity for people to get involved as the number of survivors is decreasing, and there's a strong need to do everything we can before it's too late.
Yeah, very great. But you didn't mention now the institutions like the Charity Navigator, for example. All your rewards, you received 4-star ratings, and would you like to enumerate all these institutions? Some awards.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I'm very proud of our accreditations because there are so many nonprofits and so many worthy nonprofits, and the accreditation agencies really do such a thorough deep dive into every aspect of the charity's work in evaluating its fiscal responsibility, its transparency, its donor relations and communications, and marketing. And the Blue Card has been awarded the highest possible rating for consecutive years, maybe 7 or 8 consecutive years, and that's a 4-star. And that's something to be very proud of, because it's a seal of approval that donors look at before they make a donation.
And I would like to add, I would like to add is that the overhead expenses are covered. So you grant for this that the donors don't pay for the general costs, for example. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes, that's correct. So our grants are our overhead, including our office space and our small staff, are covered by donations from individuals. Yeah. So therefore, so they're covered by grants from foundations. So from individuals, it goes 100% to Holocaust survivors. So for example, when we are written into the legacy of someone after they pass away, portion of that goes to cover our expenses. And from individuals, that money is geared towards directly helping survivors, and individuals can choose how the money is spent and which program it goes to with a drop-down menu on our website. So that's something we're very grateful for, and we've maintained that throughout. And we do receive funds from the Claims Conference, which is the negotiating body that negotiates with Germany. And that also goes towards survivors, and a part of it goes toward our staff.
So you got, pardon, sorry?
We're very grateful for that support and all of our donors.
So you got so much media attention, so much recognition, and especially I think for all your programs. You wanted to mention it before, but I think now is the right point to mention all the programs. You combat isolation, even in that Corona times. You were very creative with tributes for the survivors who have, I think, similar situation that evoked flashbacks or bad memories in former times. So you had creative programs with chats, with telephone calls, with virtual gatherings, all that together to preserve and to help all these survivors in these really hard times with Corona. Yeah.
Yes. And that's something that made a huge difference for these people, because many of them didn't have children, or their children live far away, or are first responders and couldn't put their families, their parents at risk, because being 75 plus, survivors are at the highest risk of contracting COVID, 75 years old plus. So many of them became complete shut-ins and were cooped up in little apartments. And for them, it was very important for us to come up with virtual opportunities that were friendly to them, meeting them at their level of knowledge of using the internet and being able to navigate. And we did a series of phone calls led by therapists, licensed therapists who deal with people suffering from trauma. And there was a different way of approaching these teleconferences versus just any teleconference. Yeah. And we made that there were topics that related to them, and maintaining emotional health and well-being, trying to remain hopeful and positive in each day. And they were able to ask questions, and they were able to, get really, really concrete tips on how to manage this very stressful time. And we got tremendous feedback for it. And it's also language friendly. So we had one in English, we hosted one in Russian, and we will be thinking about the next topic coming up next month. We've been having them monthly. And next thing, the tributes were wonderful, because we had so many volunteers that wanted to do something. Yeah. But of course, with lockdown, leaving the home was a challenge. And we compiled a series of tribute videos from them that were pet friendly, family friendly. These volunteers sang a song, said an inspiring message,
and ordering groceries. Ordering groceries, and
right, and then so with the virtual, and then for ordering groceries, yes, we've had a number of people who were terrified of going to the store and the risks of grocery shopping, of course, and so we were able to order from Amazon or from Fresh Direct, which we have here, and a bunch of other local groceries, and have that delivered, and also medications, because going to the medication was also out of question for them, and covering their co-pays for that.
Okay, let's come to the future. You have the Young Leadership Committee, I would say, or I've heard, and this is also a great idea, because I think these youngsters, they caring for the legacy of the survivors, or for the descendants, or together with the descendants, to care for the legacy and to keep all in a good memory and the tradition. What would you mention about this?
Yes, so the Young Leadership Committee, they are a very energetic group who come up with different out-of-the-box ideas for how to raise awareness for the needs of Holocaust survivors and to raise funds for them, because there are so many people that just do not know how many Holocaust survivors are still with us and do not know that they may be suffering and could use additional assistance. So it really is eye-opening when people first realize, wow, there are tens of thousands of survivors among us, even in my community, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And some of the creative ways that the Young Leadership helps survivors are through endurance sports events, such as being an official charity in the New York City Marathon. We've actually participated we did the Berlin Marathon. We had a group that participated in that a number of years ago. In London, we've also had a team in Jerusalem.
Endurance events, yes?
Yes, endurance events, and bike rides, bike races, triathlons, and things of that nature. We have events where there's a silent auction and virtual fundraisers.
And with Corona, is that is that changing? Do you have new challenges? How do you manage it now with the situation? Because with the lockdown, no event was happening the last few
Yes, right. Yeah, absolutely. So we are now in talks of doing a virtual 5K. Mm-hmm. That's something that we're planning for the Young Leadership to do, and people can do it in their own space, and we're excited for that. And also having social media fundraisers such as donate via Facebook and promoting among friends and family.
You were donating, I've heard, the Washington Museum, the archives of your big portfolio of whatever you were collecting. What does it contain? What would you like to point out?
Yes, it was fascinating. Yes, it was fascinating because we uncovered these very old records that were in German, and it included names of German Jews that were supported by the Blue Card. It was articles in German, and it also included records of donations made going back many decades, and minutes from meetings that the founders had, and showing the progression of how the board was formed to many years later, and just seeing that transition was really fascinating. And the United States Holocaust Museum reached out to us, and as they were collecting, and we were so happy to be able to donate, and this becomes a permanent exhibit that's viewable online for all to see, and will live on.
What would you like to emphasize now at the end? The agenda, what are you planning now? What would you like to announce? How could the people, even in Germany, because Germany was also responsible for the history, what could the Germans do, in your view, now to support your efforts? And what do you think is the best idea to get in touch with you and to see your programs? How could they start it?
Yes, absolutely. So we welcome, we welcome this involvement. There are so many ways to get involved. Of course, the number one way is to contribute via our website, Blue Card Fund. And additionally, promote us on social media. And we are working now to get more followers via Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. Additionally, people can record tribute videos for survivors, and when things start to open up, to join one of our endurance sports teams, which would be terrific.
Yeah. Even in Germany, some events. Did you plan anything for Germany, or come over here to us, or was there any?
Yeah, we actually, interestingly, we formed a group that visited Auschwitz just back in Germany. We took a number of elected officials to Germany, to Poland, and it was really an incredible experience. And then our plan was next to come to Germany and visit some of the camps, and also to go and see where the Blue Card had its beginnings. So that's still something that we would love to do when we're able to do so. And we'll definitely keep you posted on that, and would love for you to join. And also would love to do another sports event there, and we'd love to virtually partner to do a 5K with an organization in Germany.
Well, I have done all my questions. Do you have anything you'd like to add, or something you'd like deserves mentioning at the end? Is there anything we left out?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that also it goes along with how Blue Card likes to think outside the box, and we're always trying to keep our eyes and ears to what the needs are of survivors here. But it's always amazing to see other perspectives of other countries and how they're helping survivors and how they're working with survivors. So that's another thing that we would welcome, is to have an idea exchange with organizations in Germany that are working with Holocaust survivors, and seeing, you know, what might be that what Germany might be doing that we're not doing, and vice versa. So one thing that we actually started doing is providing robot pets to survivors that are battery operated. It also combats isolation and loneliness, and it helps to lower blood pressure and ease dementia symptoms. That's something I wanted to mention.
Good idea.
And I also mention our telephone emergency response system program, which is the help I fall and I can't get up. It's connected to a call center, and if an emergency arises, they can press the button for help, and it can be programmed into the native language. And thirdly, there is a light that it's an apparatus. It looks like an iPad just plugged into a wall that we are using that mimics sunlight, and survivors who cannot leave the house can turn it on for 20 minutes or so, and it regulates circadian rhythm and mood, and also has been shown to ease Alzheimer's and dementia symptoms and depression symptoms as well. So we're just always looking to see how technology can play a role, and we'd love to keep the conversation going.
So I feel your passion, I feel your commitment. This is so passionate, this is so, you're so in details, you're really in it so much, and this is really persuading people and convincing. Would you like to give a call to the audience at the end, to the viewers? Is there anything you would like to say now at the end? And thank you so much. I appreciated it. Well, it's your last words. You can go on.
Yes. Thank you so much, of course, for taking the time and really doing all this research and really understanding the work that the Blue Card does and the unique nature of this population. And what I want to say is that it's really it's a good opportunity to get involved now. The time is limited. It's a very limited on time mission. So we welcome involvement, and in any way, shape, or form, whether it's monetary, whether it's on a volunteer basis, and to just really promote awareness among the country and among the people, and to just keep the conversation going. And that's also becomes a trickle-down effect and helps survivors tremendously. So thank you.
And as I watched one of the videos from the survivors, humanity is a big word, and connecting people is very important. Working in networks, and I have to thank and have to mention that I thank Nadia Atwell for this great introduction, and that she favored your institution, and we stay in touch, and yes. So we soon see each other as soon as possible, maybe in New York, in the States, or in Germany time again.
With Nadia as well. Nadia is incredible. Thank you so much, Nadia.
So thank you so much. Bye.
Yes.
To America.
Well.
Thanks.
Bye.